All right, welcome everybody. We're going to get started. So I'm going to introduce Isis Fernandez. She is our speaker for today. She is our presenter. She's going to be talking about the SWOT technique and all about time management within that, how you do your goals, and I'm sorry if you can hear my cats in the background, and all of the issues and ways that you can solve those solutions when it comes to planning your goals. So I'm going to hand it over to Isis and she'll start her presentation.
Hi guys, how are you guys doing? My name is Isis Fernandez. I'm an English professor here at Lone Star College-Kingwood, and I'm super excited to teach you something that has helped me and has helped other people try to solve problems, or at least try to find a solution to a challenge. And you've probably heard of other devices like SMART goals or other things. I'm going to teach you something called SWOT, and SWOT is similar to a SMART goal in that there's a process towards achieving an objective, but it's a little bit different because it allows you to see things from another angle. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, but I am going to say that there is a little bit of a, for this presentation, there is a little bit of a audience participation part of this. So I know that you guys will be able to put stuff in the chat box. So once I start asking questions, I'll wait and have you guys enter answers and thoughts in the chat box. And of course, if you have any questions, please let me know. I hope that we can wait until the end for questions so that way I can get them all at once. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we have to acknowledge is the element in the virtual room, which is we are actually doing this presentation not face-to-face, but we're actually doing this on WebEx or a web conferencing website or software. And that could be a challenge to a lot of student groups and a lot of people. So I want to acknowledge that what we are experiencing is unprecedented. It is something that is a challenge in of itself. Doing the most basic and simple things have been and is difficult. So I want to acknowledge that if you're feeling kind of angsty and if you're feeling like, oh my God, what day is it? What month is it? Is it 3 o'clock in the afternoon? I don't know. I just woke up. I'm acknowledging that that is okay. I'm acknowledging that that is life right now. And I'm acknowledging that, like, this is the normal. It's okay. Let's breathe through it. So here's the first question I want to ask out to the audience, and this also includes the adults in the room. Tell me by putting it in the chat box here, how best do you get to your goals? How do you achieve your goals? And just enter it in the chat box. Don't all rush together at once, guys. Making a list is a good one. That's really, really good. I make lists. I'm a list maker as well. I use a bullet journal. We've been talking about it for at least a good 20 minutes. My bullet journal life. That may be another seminar there, Alex. I'm just making a bullet journal. Practicing. Awesome, Judith. So practicing is really good. Lists are really, really good. One of the things about goals and goal making and looking at how to achieve the goals is being specific. We sometimes fail to be specific. For example, students will say, I want to make 100 in this class, but they don't think about what it takes to make that 100 in the class, or I'm going to make an A in this paper or an A on this assignment. And they don't backtrack and think, what are the things they have to put in place? What are the policies, practices, and procedures, which is what I want to say, on how to get to where they want to go. And by using SWOT, you actually start that process. And here's the thing about goals. If you don't plan your goal, it's just a wish. A good friend of mine says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, essentially. So a goal has something with a plan, an action plan behind it. And if you don't have an action plan behind it, it's really just you doing wishful thinking or dreaming. I dream one day of winning the lottery. What do I do? Well, I should probably buy a lottery ticket, right? That's an action plan there. I one day hope to finish a book. So what is that going to entail? That entails me setting aside time. That entails me going to writing conferences. That entails me to practice every day, practice my writing every day. It entails that I read. So that's one thing that you've got to keep in mind when you're thinking about your goals and what you wish to do and how to solve challenges, is that if you have a goal to something, you really need to put together an action plan. And then that action plan goes into the wonderful bullet journals that you have yet to create or have created maybe, or your wonderful planners that you may have forgotten you have at this point of the semester. So let's talk about SWOT. SWOT is an acronym that means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is a very organized way to look at challenges. And I'm going to go through each one of these here in a second, but you're probably wondering, first of all, that SWOT is not spelled correctly. It is in this context. And you're probably thinking what it is, really what it is. So again, it's a way of looking at challenges and attempting to find a solution to a challenge, a problem, a hurdle of some sort, okay? This technique is actually used by Fortune 500 companies. It's used by business owners. I was actually telling Alex earlier today that I actually taught this on Saturday to a bunch of writers who want to write a novel in 1 month, because next month is National Novel Writing Month. And so a bunch of writers are wondering, how do I do that? And so we went through this process on Saturday, and we came up with some really great solutions. So it's not necessarily for companies or Fortune 500 companies or businesses or anything like that. It's for everybody. And one thing that makes this really important and really effective is that you have to be honest with yourself and honest in the process, and you have to be very specific. Again, like how I opened up this presentation, you have to be specific with steps towards your goal. If you want to make 100 on an assignment or an A in a class, or to create this amazing event as part of your student group, you have to be specific. What will it take to get there? And this requires you to be specific. And what I really love about SWOT is that this is best done in a group, right? No man is island, but it kind of feels like it is because COVID, right? But this is actually something that's best done in a group. And we're going to do a practice of this today as a group. And we'll see how we can solve a problem that I have in here in this presentation. This is something you can do with your student groups as well. You can do it with your study groups if you have a study group. If not, get a study group. A study group is great. It's fantastic for helping you do well in your classes. And this can be done with your friends. It can be done with your family. All of this can be done as a group dynamic, because if you can get a group together to do a SWOT analysis, that means everybody's on board to achieve the goal or to overcome the challenge. So here's some rules. Before I tell you what SWOT is and all the intricacies of this, I'm going to get into some rules of this wonderful thing. You want to be as specific as possible. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. The more specific you are, the better, because that way you can understand, identify what the true challenge is and what possible great opportunities you have to do well in this challenge. Then you have to understand that there's some overlap. So what can be distinguished as a threat to what you want to do can also be an opportunity as well. So acknowledge that there will be some overlaps, And it may be that you need to look at something slightly different, right? When we're talking about strengths and weaknesses, we're talking about internal. It could be internal as in the self or internal in your student group or academic group, but what happens internally? External are opportunities and threats, so things that kind of impact you from the outside in rather than from the inside out. And from here, SWOT is the first step, really. After you're done with SWOT and you're looking at everything, you're like, oh my gosh, I see the solution. This is what the solution is. That's when the plan starts coming together, right? So I don't want you to think that this is the end. You're going to be done. By the time you hit T in SWOT, that you'll know what to do and everything's great and you'll just keep going. No, it's the first step to understanding and outlining a possible plan of action. So let's get started here. So S stands for strengths, and strengths means exactly what you think it means, except I want you to look at it slightly different. You need to think about the stuff that your organization does well. What do you guys as a group do well? Do you guys click really well? It's like everybody's friends in and outside of the organization. That's fantastic. That is a strength. Are you guys really, really good at English? If you're a part of a group that has to write for some reason, that is a strength. You also want to look at your organization members, the individual members. What are the strengths that they have as individuals? We have somebody who's really good at copy editing, another who's really good at public speaking, someone else who's really good at organizing. Look at what you have in your organizational group and what skills each individual has. This is how you also get buy-in from your individual organization members. So if you feel, there may be some organization members who feel like they don't feel included in any of the events or any of the duties that are being done. But if you look at what skills everybody has, right, what the team has, then everyone can have buy-in and everyone can feel included in the organization. You also want to look at what resources you have access to. As a Kingwood student, you have tons of resources. Even online, you have a ton of resources. I can tell you, as an English professor, you have your professors as a resource. You can tap us for anything. I used to be a newspaper reporter and work in newspapering. I am a resource. Let me tell you, there are things I can tell you about how to do things only because I've lived this life. So we are resources. We also have other resources on campus that it definitely existed face-to-face and continue to exist while we are online. All you have to do is ask. And either someone knows or someone can help. So definitely, as a student at Lone Star Kingwood, you definitely have these resources. And of course, the specialties that your organizations have or that your members have. So one of the things that as a former advisor to a student group, one thing that I had to look at when I was looking at the organization is to look at the head of my organization. What specialties did she have? And then how can I make her a better leader? And so one of the specialties could be that perhaps the leader was really good at making personal connections with everyone. And so I would encourage her to be more social and to plan more social things for the group, right? So look at what you guys have collectively. All of these are strengths. So let's talk about weaknesses. And when people talk about weaknesses, they think of it as a negative, and it's not always a negative. Weaknesses doesn't mean that you yourself are weak or that your organization is weak. Weaknesses means there are things you need to work on. And it doesn't mean that you're good. It doesn't mean that you're bad. It just means there are things that you need to work on. So you need to think about, what does your organization not have access to, or what do they do not know? Yes, Lone Star College-Kingwood has tons of things and tons of resources for you to do. But there may be something that we don't do. I'd be pressed to find something we don't do, but like I can be enlightened. Please tell me, what do we not do? And if we don't do it, I'm pretty sure you can ask Alex and say, hey, do we have an ice cream maker? We probably don't. In fact, I probably think we do. And if Alex says we do have an ice cream maker, I will not be surprised. But perhaps you want to do an ice cream social once COVID is over. And we don't have an ice cream maker, but she may have resources for you to get ice cream anyway, right? So you have to understand what you have access to and what you don't quite know, and then figure out where you can get that knowledge and where you can gain some sort of access to it, or maybe an alternative to their access. So you also want to know what your limitations are on your resources. What are your limitations? If you are horrible, if everybody in your group is horrible at public speaking, that is a limitation. So who do you know that can help you with public speaking? We totally have speech professors on this campus, like legit, like really great speech professors. We also have people who do presentations for a living. We can help you get through that, right? And then you want to identify if there's any processes, policies, or practices that are limiting your organization. Maybe you have a process on how to do something and it's not quite right? The end result isn't very mirroring what you want to mirror. So what you want to do is look at the process. Where are people being limited and what can you do to change, right? So let's look at opportunities, because people like to look at opportunities. I like to look at opportunities. Opportunities are awesome. And so what you want to look at with opportunities is where people see challenges and when people see weaknesses, you want to change your mindset and see opportunities for growth and opportunities for change. So you want to see things that existed that you didn't know existed there before, or that you're maybe just now realizing, right? You're probably just now realizing that there are tons of people that can help. That's great. An opportunity is also the reputation. Do you have a good reputation on campus? That is a big thing, and it's kind of like another unsaid elephant in the room. Having a good reputation on campus, especially when you're working with other groups, allows you to do more things. So do you have a reputation of not calling people back? You should probably figure out a way to call people back. Do you have a reputation of not answering emails? Do you have a reputation of not following through or missing deadlines? Those things can probably hurt you, but those are opportunities because yes, they're opportunities for growth. Because you can apologize and say, you know what, I'm so sorry I didn't see your email. Let me answer it now, right? Because people tend to respect other people who understand that they have limitations and they apologize for them. All right, so day of the week, is that an opportunity or is that a threat? It depends on what you're doing. Say you're doing an event and that Monday is probably the worst day in the world to do an event, or maybe the best day in the world to do an event. It just depends. If you're doing an event that you want a lot of people, maybe you want to think about when there are the most people on campus. If you want to do an event that's online, because you can get a guest speaker there that wouldn't necessarily be there if we were face-to-face, that's a great opportunity. So think about things like that. And of course, maybe a burning question or an event-based or current events can be an opportunity. For example, there's lots of things in the public conversation and public discourse dealing with racial injustice and social issues. And maybe this is an opportunity to talk about those social issues in whatever avenue that your organization is in. So think about that and think about how best to serve the community that you serve, right? These are all opportunities. Again, where people see challenges and people see weaknesses, you really want to see opportunity. This is an opportunity, a chance to grow, and a chance to do something really awesome. So let's think about threats, and I am not a fan of this word. I'm not a fan of the word at all, because when people think threats, they think of something very sinister, and I don't think the people who developed SWOT thought that threat would be conceived that way, but yeah. Threat doesn't mean anything sinister. It just means what is keeping you away from the goal, the idea, or event. What is keeping you away from the goal? What is keeping you away from what you're wanting to do? Is it a bad reputation? Is it an unknown reputation? Is it the change in ideas or thoughts outside of the organization? Are there external challenges that's keeping you from doing what you need to do? Those are what threats are. And so everyone has threats. Don't think that there's like someone out there who's never had a threat to an organization or to a goal or anything. Everyone has threats. The word is kind of bloated, and I'm kind of upset that threats being used, but that's okay. So what is keeping you from doing the awesomeness that you are meant to do, right? Yay! So I want to solve this problem, but before we go through, Alex says, there's a popcorn machine, but no ice cream maker. That, my friend, is a threat. There is no ice cream maker for an ice cream social, but I'm pretty sure there's an opportunity to ask Alex for ideas on how to do an ice cream social. I'm pretty sure she has a pretty good idea and has resources to help you with that. So before we go on and we try to solve this problem for the environmental club, does anyone have any questions on SWOT and what it is and how it functions and the rules of the game and all the nice stuff? You can go ahead and pop it into the chat box. None. Okay. I'm seeing none. So the weird thing about chat boxes is that you say things and there's a delay from hearing them, and then there's another delay because people have to type it out. So I never know when it's okay to keep going. So if you have no questions, please say no questions, so that way I know to move on. Awesome sauce. Yay! Okay, great. So I think we should solve a problem, solve a challenge as part of our study into SWOT and swatting things out. That's a weird statement, but okay. We'll go with it. All right, so let's read through this. The Environmental Club at Lone Star College-Kingwood is looking to host an event this month of October, to teach students the proper way to recycle. They are bringing in a guest speaker who is an expert in the field and works for a nonprofit. So the challenge is to get the word out there and get people to come to the event, right? And to do the event, which I am thinking is going to be online. I don't think it's going to be a face-to-face thing. I don't think anything's going to be face-to-face for a while. So goal, to get people to their online WebEx event to talk about recycling with an awesome guest speaker. So why don't I share another file with you, and let's go and do some swatting here. Let me see if it lets me type properly. It will not. Okay. Thank you very much. So let's do this. Share my screen. Okay. I am sharing my screen, and I want to bring up a Word document. Let's see if this happens. This is the exciting thing about live webinars. All right, yay. Okay. So what we need to do here, and I'm going to make this really big for you to see. Maybe not that big. Okay. So remember, SWOT stands for strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats, which we don't like the word, but we're going to roll with it. Okay. So we know what the goal is. The goal is to do an event. So I'm not sure if anybody from the environmental club is here, but let's pretend we're all members of the environmental club. Yay, we're all members, awesome. What are our strengths? And I can't quite see the chat box, so Alex, can you read me anything that comes up on the chat box?
I can do that.
Awesome. So as newly found members, temporary members of the environmental club, what are our strengths?
Enthusiasm.
Oh, yes. Hello. Can I type? Yes. Yes. I cannot spell right now. I'm an English teacher, I promise. All right. Enthusiasm. We are enthusiastic. We love what we do. The environment is awesome. What else? Consider what I said earlier about the resources that are available.
What about having a good group of officers?
Awesome. Great officers. They respond to email. They have great ideas. Everybody loves them. Amazing. That's awesome. What else? I'm just going to say it. You have student life.
Good support from student activities, Judith said.
Yes. Judith, we're right here.
It's always a good strength to have.
Student activities. Awesome. What else? What else is a strength?
Any other strengths, guys? Access to a speaker who is willing.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why that keeps doing weird things, but okay. Access to a speaker who is willing. Yeah, because that's a big get, right? If you have a speaker who's willing to talk and come on campus, even if it's virtually, that's a big get. Because let me tell you, not a lot of people are like wanting to come talk to like people using WebEx. So definitely a speaker who's willing, who is really good in the field. That's such a strength. Let me add one more. We're talking about environmental, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Kingwood area is a strength. Let me tell you why. I'm not from Kingwood, nor do I live in Kingwood, but I can totally tell you guys are super green. Like, Kingwood is super green. Like, there's trees everywhere. Like,
Mm-hmm. And they have a recycling center as well.
And have a recycling center. So you know that there is some interest. Right. So you have some interest on and off campus. So you can see as a strength here that you don't necessarily have to keep it with just people from the Kingwood campus. You can make this bigger because another strength is that it's virtual. Virtual, right? That it's virtual. So you don't have to just keep it with Kingwood students, faculty, staff, right? you can make it bigger. So it'll probably be primarily Kingwood students, faculty, staff, right? Awesome. So what is the weakness? And again, a weakness is not a bad thing. It's just things you got to work on. What is
they have too many ideas and not one specific one that they're interested in?
Yeah. Too many ideas. You want to know what kills an idea? Another one. That's my DJ Khaled joke for the day. People should be laughing, but I know. It's like my version of dad jokes. Okay, so too many ideas, not one specific idea. And so by ideas, what do we mean, Alex? Are we talking about too many ideas on how to market the event? Too many ideas on a bunch of events to do, or?
A little bit of both. So a lot of issues are what direction the event should take, but also the best way to market for sure.
Okay. Too many ideas. All right. What's another weakness?
Could we add about not enough members?
Yes.
Maybe there's officers but no members that are able to participate in the event or help market it?
Yes. Because here's the thing with student groups, people got to be in a group. It's got to be a group. It can't just be like 8 persons or 3 people who are doing everything and everyone else just gets to hang out.
Or an advisor.
Girl. All right. What else?
Participants who commit to attending. Judith?
Participants?
Not enough participants.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to say this one's more like a threat, and I'll tell you why in a sec. I'll tell you not why right now. Because this is external, right? So this is a weakness. Weaknesses are more internal, like what's going on in the organization or in the self. And threats are more external. So I'm going to keep this now, but I'm probably going to move this into threats a little bit later when we get to threats. I'm going to highlight it. I'll move it later. Okay. Any more? I'm going to go ahead and say it. Virtual can be a weakness. And by virtual, I mean don't know how to work it.
Judith says yes.
Yes to
the virtual.
Look, it's like I still don't know how to work WebEx. I'm not even gonna kid you about that. Like literally, this is difficult for me. Zoom is quite easy. WebEx is, I don't know. So yes, you don't know how to work the virtual. You don't know how to work the WebEx. How do you do the WebEx? How do you do all this thing? Yes. So let's talk about threats first before we go to opportunities. So I'm going to move this, not enough participants.
And Judith also put in organizational skills to pull it all together, which could be
internal
as well.
Yeah. I'm going to put skills with a Z. Okay, cool. So we have threats. Let's go to threats first, because I always like to end with a positive note. It's a thing. I don't know. It's mine. All right, so a threat. Not enough participants. That could be a thing. Like, oh my God, we did all this work and nobody comes. That's a thing. It actually happens, but it's okay. You survive it. Life continues. You learn from it and you move on, right? So, not enough participants. What's another threat?
In our given environment with COVID, it could be not enough funding, as our funding is in different places currently.
COVID took all our money. Darn that COVID. Ah! Okay. What else? what could possibly happen to the speaker? You have an awesome speaker. What could happen to the speaker?
Cancellations.
Mm-hmm. It happens, guys.
Very frequently.
Yeah. And it's kind of heartbreaking because you do it out that work, but it happens because life happens, right? And so that could possibly be a threat, right? So what else could possibly happen?
If you think about it from our campus, you can think about weather issues that we've had.
Right.
Related to cancellation of your event altogether.
One good rain can make everything just disappear. One good rain can make it so that people aren't able to get online, frankly. That could happen. Anything else?
Any other issues in the chat, guys? I don't see any right now.
Okay, those are good threats. So let's talk about opportunities. And remember, when we talk about opportunities, this is opportunities for growth, opportunities for change, opportunities to do really good work, all right? And that's what challenges are. Challenges are opportunities. So let's say what happens when we don't have enough participants. Why do you think why would we not have enough participants, do you think?
It could be the marketing, could be the day or time.
Yeah, could be the marketing, could be the day or time. Let's talk about marketing, right? So, could be when you were on campus, you can make a nice little poster, a nice little flyer, hang it where you need to, and send it on, and it has a life of its own, and people get to know what's going on, right? So now it's kind of difficult because it's when we don't have a certain spot. But look, we're the environmental club. Do we not have environmental professors on campus? Is that not an opportunity?
Mm-hmm. They're a great resource for outside speakers as well, whether they are the speaker or to help you find other options. Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody.
Yes. So I should tell you about my story about how I got to actually ask Michael Jackson a question. I know, it's a great story. I'm not going to tell it now, though, because we're focusing. But remind me to tell y'all later. That is an opportunity for a good story once we're done. Okay. So they're great for outside speakers. Also great events for students' favorite word.
Yes.
Extra credit. If you tell a professor that you are somehow going to take some sort of role or do a sign-in sheet or whatever, right? And say, we will give you the sign-in sheet after we're done so you can see which students of yours went, that is less that they have to do. And they're like, yeah, sure, I'll sign it for extra credit. This is awesome. And all of a sudden you have a bunch of people coming to your event because they have to be there for extra credit. Okay. So talk to the environmental professors or science professors. That works too. Let's just do that. All right. What else? What's another opportunity? Let's look at the threats again. COVID took all our money. I'm sorry. COVID took everybody's money. It did.
It's a good opportunity to look at free resources in the community.
Right. So, for example, maybe the guest speaker you wanted a per diem, right? And maybe your group does not have the per diem money. And maybe Alex doesn't have the per diem money. And there's no per diem money. So you can appeal to their senses, and they probably will say no, or they'll probably say yes. I don't know. I don't know the heart of this person. Or they can say, you know what, I can't quite do it, but I have somebody who can. And you can look at the free resources in the community. Dun, dun, dun. See, opportunities. Let's look at another one. The cancellation of the person, right? So how do you deal with a cancellation of a guest speaker? Any ideas? Judith for the win. A substitute, right? You want to find a sub. For example, if you have, yes, maybe a professor on campus. So let's say you have this great speaker and like something happens. This is environmental club, maybe, you know, we live by oil refineries. So maybe something happens with an oil refinery and they have to go investigate and they can't have a conversation, right? Or maybe they have to go do something else, family, whatever. So you want to have like a backup plan. If plan A doesn't work, then we go to plan B. We may have to cancel the day, but we postpone it to a week later when we have this particular professor, or we do it the next day. And this professor said, yes, I'll be your second person in. Whatever, right? You want to have a second, or you want to have like a backup plan. I personally have 3 backup plans because, you know, COVID life is crazy, but it could work. Okay, let's look at weather issues. All right, is there an opportunity that you can think about with the weather issues?
If something's in person, you could look at the possibility of virtual in that form, depending on internet. Or you might have to reschedule it all together, which could provide more attendance depending on the day you choose.
You can also do what we're doing now. Record it. Right? And then share it on your social media channel. And I'm pretty sure that Alex and company would share it on theirs. You can record it, or you can change the format of the presentation. Usually the format is that the person has a presentation, like I had a presentation today, and they have a lot to say, and they have a conversation, and then you ask questions, right? And so maybe it's not so much that you have that same presentation, but maybe you do a Q&A. Maybe you have participants submit questions first, and then you have questions. And so if something happens, like a good rain, and like there's not going to be that many people that you feel, then maybe they do a presentation, but you just have a Q&A with you and that person. And you just answer questions, right? And maybe you'll have a couple of people who will ask questions, but it's better to change the format a little bit to ensure that there's going to be something to record later, rather than sit there and say, all right, guys, what are we going to say about this? Or, all right, guys, do you have any questions? See how that works? Changing the format. You see all these opportunities that we have for this really great event. Let's look at a couple of weaknesses here. Too many ideas and not one specific idea for marketing or direction of the event, right? So here's the thing. The thing about ideas is that if you have too many, you don't ever get started. You just got to pick one, right? You just have to pick one. It may be the worst idea on the list, but as you get started and you see it's not a great idea, then you change it or you tweak it. But having too many ideas can get you to just stay in the idea stage and not get started. For example, a writer, right? I'm a writer, so I know what I'm talking about. Probably has 10,000 ideas for a book or story or a poem or whatever, right? But if they stay in the idea stage, they're never going to get that poem written or that book written or that short story done. They're never going to do it. So they've just got to pick one and stick with it. And if they go through it and it just doesn't work on the page, like it's just like, this poem is awful, like, oh my God, a travesty to American letters, you put it aside and you go down the rabbit hole of another idea, or you tweak the one that you have, all right? So that's the cool thing about ideas. If you have a lot, you can change that, but don't stay on the idea phase at all. You want to keep moving. What's another one? I want to do one more. Oh, weakness, the skills to do the actual virtual thing. What is a good opportunity about skills to learn to do the virtual event that we're going to do?
You know, for future reference, how to host an event virtually.
Mm-hmm.
You can also teach others once you do know that.
You can also, I don't know, ask someone to help, right? To like, how do you work WebEx? Alex is great. She taught me how to work WebEx today. I didn't know what I was doing, right? She can help. Your professors have been working WebEx, not me. I do something else, but somebody else has been working WebEx. You can say, hey, professor, I know that you're really busy, but can we get on a WebEx right quick, and can you teach me how you do a screen share? More than likely they learned 10 minutes ago, but they will be more than happy to help you. All right? Very more than more than willing to help you. Or you can say, what do you use? I actually use Microsoft Teams. And my students are always asking me, okay, so how do you do this on Teams? And I figure it out for myself so I can teach them. So you can do the same thing. You can learn how to use WebEx, just like Alex said, and help others as well. So do you see all this awesomeness here under opportunities? Look at all that awesomeness. It kind of makes the weaknesses and the threats almost like non-existent. Because if you change your mindset a little bit and you look at weaknesses and threats, not necessarily as bad things, but opportunities to do good things, opportunities to do well, you'll find a solution. So let's say that we found all of our opportunities and some solutions within all the opportunities part of SWOT, right? And we're thinking, okay, so we're going to go down this one rabbit hole for this one idea, and we're going to talk to a biology professor about our event, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Now you have the beginnings of a plan, right? So now you can look at who you have and say, hey, you happen to have such and such as your professor for biology. You're in charge of talking to the biology professor about putting this on the D2L class and getting it as extra credit. You're really good at organizing things. Why don't you organize a plan B for doing this? You're really good at this. Why don't you do this? You see what I'm saying? If you're getting, everyone has a buy-in. Everyone is going down the same rabbit hole in the same direction towards the same goal. And you're putting together an action plan to do an amazing event, which is what you want to do anyway. Make sense? Yes? No? Maybe so? Possibly. Everyone's asleep. That's perfectly fine too. I acknowledge that everyone's sleepy. All right. Are there any questions? Please put your questions in the chat box.
Judith says she's here.
Yay, Judith. Judith, you are amazing.
Not a question, but I do want to thank you, Isis, because I think this has been a major eye-opener for a lot of people on the process of creating these events especially. And I think it's important to know each step that they can take. And instead of focusing, like you said, on the threats, you can look at the opportunities for growth, which is where I think the students lack at times. They're always worried about what might go wrong when they should worry about the next steps for them.
Absolutely. So let me tell you all a story. Just happened like 2 days ago. So because of COVID, I bought this beautiful washing machine that's like one of those washing machines that you plug into like the faucet of your in your bathroom, right? I love this thing. It's the best thing I think I've ever bought. When you become an adult, this is one of the things you have to look forward to. You're really excited about a washing machine. Okay, so I was excited, but I also was busy that day. So I put in a load to wash, and what I forgot to do is to put the hose where the water comes out into the bathtub so that the water can drain into the bathtub. Instead, I didn't even touch the drain. So the water went everywhere, like everywhere, like it was water everywhere in this place. And so I realized that somehow we had a wet dry vac that for some reason we never touched. And so I had never learned to use this thing, but I learned to use it. I looked at this as an opportunity and said, well, you know what? At least the floors are clean with all that soap. And at least I got to learn to use a wet dry vac that I'd never learned to use before. It's a brand new skill. Yay. You can call on me on that. But that's what we're talking about, like looking at these challenges as opportunities, right? Yes, I was very upset that I had forgotten to put the hose in the bathtub, but that's okay because we got it cleaned. And we're still here. We're still living. We're still breathing. We're still in COVID mode. It's perfectly fine. Life continues. Yeah? Cool. I'm making Judith laugh. I'm excited about that.
And it sounds like this was pretty straightforward and they don't have any more questions.
Okay. Well, that makes me both happy and wary as a professor. When they have no questions, I'm like, But I think it's pretty straightforward, like you said, Alex. And of course,
thank you guys so much also for attending.
Yay.
We appreciate your help, Isis. Thank you for facilitating this. And if you guys do have any questions, I'll be sending out this PowerPoint and the recording for you all to view in the future. And feel free to contact myself or Isis if you do have any questions.
Bye.
Have a great day, guys.